Kirby Smart and the Dogs are putting together another elite recruiting class. And if they get the guys they want down the stretch here as we inch closer and closer to signing day in December, I think they could once again sign the nation's #1 class. They just signed, not signed, but got a verbal commitment from Elijah Griffin, the #5 player in the country last week. And in today's video, I'm going to break down where things stand, who they've got coming in at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, the offensive line, the tight ends, all about the offense and why this could be one of the best defensive classes that we've seen from Kirby Smart since his time as coming on as the Georgia coach. He's obviously signed a lot of elite recruiting classes. They've signed the #1 class several times, and I think there's a chance they could do it again this year. But let's start off on offense, right? Because there's some interesting things going on at the quarterback spot. Obviously, Ryan Montgomery, if you don't know, that's Georgia's 4-star quarterback commitment out of Findlay, Ohio. He's the Findlay High School in Ohio. He's the number 11 quarterback prospect in the country, 6'3", 210, can run a little bit. He's a really good athlete. He's the number 120 prospect in the country. So this kid's a solid 4-star commitment, but I believe it was an ACL injury that he suffered several weeks ago. So he really hasn't played at all this year. And they've had a decommitment from a quarterback, Jared Curtis, in the 26 class. That kid's special. That was a big loss. We'll see. I think Georgia's going to try to get him back on board. Long way to go still, but they've got a kid, Jaron Keeves Sagnalapolowet. I totally butchered that. I'm sorry. I even looked up how to pronounce it like 5 minutes before I started this video. Still couldn't get it. Doesn't matter. Well, it does matter. I want to get the kid's name right, and I will. But if you don't know who he is, that's okay because he's committed to Cal. You shouldn't know who he is, but Georgia just offered him. He's a 4-star quarterback from Hawaii, 6'2", 215 pounds. He's a lefty. I'm not saying the kid is like Marcus Mariota, Tua. Let's just call him Tua. I'm awful with the Hawaiian names, and I apologize for that. Mariota, I've got that one. Dylan Gabriel, that one was easy enough. He's from Hawaii. But they can turn out some quarterbacks. This kid's really good. He's the number 12 quarterback prospect in the country. He's number 167 overall. So he's ranked right behind Ryan Montgomery. And this whole time, they said, we're just going to take one in the 25 class. That's what they told Ryan Montgomery. But he's on board. He's dealing with a knee injury, though. So I think they're just trying to be safe and say, hey, you know what? It's not the worst thing in the world if we do end up taking another quarterback because Ryan might not be ready next year, even in the spring. So this is about depth, and they're going to reach out to this young man at James Campbell High School in Hawaii. He's taking his official visit to Georgia. That's what I'm trying to get at. The week of Tennessee, it's the November 16th official visit. So you know the interest is real when they're saying, hey, we want you to come in for an official visit. And he said, okay, cool, let's go. Let's get this thing rolling. So they've got Ryan Montgomery on board, but this new kid, 4-star from Hawaii, is a name to know as well. Let's talk about the running back position. They got there too. Usmani Chroma at Lee County, who's running wild, 821 yards, 10 touchdowns in his 8 games at Lee County. Probably a top 3 program in the state right now. They could win the title. He's the number 4 running back prospect in the country, number 87 overall. Okay, this is a big deal. This is a big-time running back, 200-plus pounds, really good athlete, breaks a lot of tackles, runs hard. He is one of the best in the country. In-state kid, they got him on the commit list. So that's a solid running back that Georgia fans are going to see a lot of when he gets to Athens. That I feel confident saying. Bo Walker's another kid. He's played in about 6 games for Raven Gap, 333 yards, 47 carries, averaging 7 yards a carry. 3-star running back from North Georgia now. Was at Cedar Grove. Now he's playing at Raven Gap up in the mountains. So he's on the commit list as well. Wide receiver, they've got an elite wide receiver. Okay, for all the people asking, when are they going to get an elite wide receiver? Why can't they sign the best of the best? They've got one. Talon Taylor from Geneva Community College in Illinois. I wrote about him last week, put his midseason highlights in that story. Make sure you're checking that out over on Dawg Post. It is, they're phenomenal. The kid can absolutely play. I think he could be one of the best wide receivers to come through Georgia in a long time when he gets in. That's saying a lot. I mean, George Pickens, Ladd McConkey, A.D. Mitchell, they've had some good ones come through in the recent years. Talon Taylor could be one of the best. For more on him, make sure you're going over to Dawg Post. Landon Roldan, a kid who's got to add some more size and muscle. He plays out of North Oconee. He can absolutely fly. He's a 4'4" guy, can stretch the field, can outrun anyone. Could be a pretty talented defensive back as well. But he's a 3-star wide receiver who will probably end up as a 4-star when it's all said and done. Tyler Williams out of Armwood, just a big play machine. When he catches the ball, he's going for 27.5 yards a catch. 21 catches for 577 yards, 5 touchdowns in 7 games down in Florida. He's a player to know. And then Thomas Blackshear's a wide receiver from Savannah. In 5 games, he's caught 24 passes for 600 yards, 9 touchdowns, averaging 25 yards a catch. Again, in just 5 games, he's a talented 4-star who is open in his recruitment but still committed to Georgia. So this kid's about 50-50. He's got 1 foot on the commit list, 1 foot out. So he's a guy to keep an eye on. At tight end, they've got the best dynamic duo haul in the country. Ethan Barbour out of Milton, 8 games. He's caught 27 passes, 500 yards, 5 touchdowns. If you're familiar with my work, if you cover or follow recruiting and follow my coverage of recruiting, you know how I feel about him. He's a pass-catching machine that I think is going to make a big impact at the tight end position in Georgia's passing game. So will Elias Williams out of Camden County. Just a freak. 5-star freak. I think he might be a top 10 player in the country. He's not ranked there, but he's ranked as a 5-star. I think he's better than where he's ranked, though. In 7 games, he's got 42 passes, 584 yards, 9 touchdowns in 7 games, 6'7", like 260, 255, somewhere around there. Runs like a deer, great hands, big-time athlete, plays basketball as well. He is a freak of an athlete who I think is going to make a big impact in Athens. On the offensive line, they've got several in-state commitments. Decent group, not a 5-star on the commit list, but they've got some guys that I really love Georgia and got guys who bring a lot of size too. Let's talk about the defensive line though. Again, Elijah Griffin, a guy that they wanted from the very beginning, was a top priority target. A guy that a lot of people think is a real game changer on the defensive line. Elite. You're a top 5 player in the country. You should be able to make an impact the second you step on campus. Maybe we'll see that from him next year. 6'5", about 290. Lived in the backfield his entire high school career. Big deal. They've got J.J. Han on board as well. He's a 3-star project type from Germany. Still new to the game. Georgia saw his potential, his frame, the ability to get a lot better. But he moves really well for a guy 6'4", 6'5", around 280, 290, still lean, has a lot of room to add muscle and mass. If he can keep that athleticism while turning into a football player, he could be a real steal in this class. He plays out of California, so they've got a 5-star Elijah Griffin, a promising 3-star prospect, project in J.J. Han. They've got Stephon Shivers on board, but he's another guy who has opened his recruitment, but he's still committed to Georgia. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. He might flip to Vanderbilt before it's all said and done. Not sure he ends up in this class. But Justice Terry is another 5-star interior guy out of Manchester High School who is just incredibly strong, but still has a lean frame that allows him to play with a lot of quickness and burst and explosion off the line. He is going to be tough to handle. He does so much well. Another guy who can attack the quarterback, but stuff those running lanes, plays with good leverage, plays gap assignment, can run down, get vertical and get horizontal. He can get, he can chase down the ball carrier. He attacks and he leaves a bruise when he gets there. Love his potential, what he brings to the table. I think Georgia leads for him and has for a while. So he would be another 5-star interior guy. Kevin Wynn out of Greene County is a guy coming to Florida State to keep an eye on the interior. He's big, he's physical, he's productive. Christian Ingram out of Newton High School is one to know. He's a promising 3-star who's kind of blowing up this fall. Jeremiah McLeod is a guy to keep an eye on at Lee County. Braxton Kyle is a promising 3-star committed to Rutgers right now to North Gwinnett. Joseph Mbachu decommitted from Florida. He plays out of Grayson. Don't think Georgia's super high on him compared to the other guys that I just mentioned, but they want to take probably at least 2 more guys on the interior on the defensive line, including Justice Terry, who is a big deal that I think is trending Georgia's way. And linebacker, they've got Zayden Walker, guys to know, Ratavian Wallace at a Jessup High School, who's committed to Arkansas. Anthony Crua at Marietta, who's committed to North Carolina. He's been in Athens a bunch this fall. He's the guy to keep an eye on. And Christian Gass, who's committed to Tennessee, committed to the Vols over Georgia earlier this summer at Eastside in Covington. believe it's in Covington. He's the guy to keep an eye on too that Georgia is trying to flip. We'll see if they can pull it off. On the edge, they've got Isaiah Gibson, Darren Ikenagbin, two of the best edge defenders in the country. Isaiah Gibson, long, athletic, the crazy long 7-foot wingspan, the potential, the productivity, the high ceiling. That's why he's the #1 edge defender in the country. Big deal. Darren Ikenagbin, another kid who's new to the game, new to football, who has a lot of potential. Georgia wants to take him as a raw project and try to turn him into something. In the secondary, Shamari Earls, #7 cornerback prospect in the country. I love his potential. I think he could be a multi-year starter. Todd Robinson, a dynamic athlete at Valdosta, do everything type of athlete, no matter where he's playing. He's a guy who can make plays, make a big impact. He's electric. He can run. He's committed as an athlete / defensive back, cornerback, safety. Jonte Gilbert is a kid from Atlanta, 4-star cornerback. Jalen Morgan, 4-star safety from Tennessee. Rashawn Dinkins is a 4-star safety target from Warner Robins to keep an eye on. And there's others as well. We'll see who they go after for that 5th and possibly final defensive back spot. But overall, they've got several 5-stars. They're in the mix for possibly another quarterback, another 5-star defensive lineman. They're looking to flip another linebacker. We'll see if they add a wide receiver, another offensive lineman, another guy in the secondary. We'll see where they go, but this is an outstanding class that's checking a lot of boxes. And if they finish strong, I can definitely see Georgia having a #1 recruiting class in the country again. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something, and I'll see you over on the website.